All right, here we are, live in
We're
two different
live.
places.
It is cloudy with a chance of learning. Welcome in, everybody, on a fun time Friday. I'm joined remotely by the great meteorologist Andrew Wilson. How you doing, my brother?
Doing great. Live here from home. Of course, we're practicing social distancing at Kent's 5, and I've been working on a lot of things from home, but remoting in and, missing everybody back at the station, but trying to make things work back here at home for now.
You know, one of the things I always talk about is how much I love the newsroom. Being in this business for 30 years now, it is just an electric place to always be, but now the electricity's out of the room, you know? I mean, it is just, I'm looking at a completely empty room. There's no one in the newsroom right now. I mean, it is just surreal, but I've got to hand it to our company. I mean, we've implemented these restrictions about a week and a half ago, and we've been reducing the number of people in the building, so we've greatly reduced the risk, and I'm all about that. So we're flattening the curve, man. We're flattening the curve.
Yep, that's the goal, and we've been finding different ways to help everybody at home while we're all going through this kind of different time, I guess you could say. And these classroom talks is exactly one of the ways that we're doing that, kind of trying to keep the learning going.
Absolutely. Give the parents a little break. Give the grandparents a little break. Give the tutors a little break. I know a lot of high school students are helping out in their neighborhoods and teaching some of these young kids. Well, we can take over for a little while and have this live interactive. And this is a fantastic tool because, again, it's interactive. So I want to remind you to ask questions. We're going to be answering what we can. We're keeping up with these throughout the week so that we can at least get a good Q&A day or two in our future. And we're also taking topic suggestions, which leads me to today's Fun Time Friday. So the first thing we're going to talk about today is Comet Atlas. I don't know if you've seen this spectacular comet. The last two nights it's been visible at 10 p.m. and we've been having it live on Chopper 5. It is a beautiful sight. It is so bright. In the sky, it's about half the size of the sun. That's not actual size, but size in your view, the visible size is about half the sun, and it is so bright. And my good friend Brian Tobias with SALSA, which, by the way, is my favorite acronym of all time, San Antonio League of Sidewalk Astronomers, SALSA. Look them up, get involved. They do great things. They have incredible watch parties. If you have a new telescope or you're thinking about buying a telescope, talk to the folks with SALSA. These are the experts who will show you where to make your investment, how to make your investment, if you've already made that investment, how to best use your telescope. And they have great watch parties, of course, not right now, but once we get back to normal, look up SALSA and get involved. So what Brian Tobias is telling me is that this is a gaseous giant, and they behave so much differently. They're so much brighter because of the gas that makes them up. And I also read this today, and I loved it. Comets are like cats. They do anything they want, and they also have a tail. And that was a perfect description because it's heading towards the sun, and Brian's estimating at least another few weeks of visible night sky viewing. I mean, it's going to be fantastic. Now, Brian is here live. From what I understand, he should be in the room here with us. So if you have a question that it would be a little more difficult for Andrew or I to answer, Brian Tobias is the expert, and he's on with us in the room. So hopefully he'll be able to answer some of your questions. Isabel and Brooke in Wilson County, good to see you guys. Jason's a first grader in Cibolo. Hi, Jason. Glad you're here. Julie's in Bear County. Comet Atlas, and it has an official name. I forget exactly what it is, but I know 19's involved because it was discovered in December of 19, and now it's hurling towards the sun. Make a wish, right, Israel?
We know so much about the atmosphere, but once you get further in and it becomes more astronomy, we know a little bit about that stuff. But
hi, Jody.
That goes to a different realm.
Yeah, it really does. It's kind of out of our, we focus on the troposphere, right? Which, by the way, we covered atmosphere on Monday's edition with Megan Massey. So if you want to look that back up, YouTube channel's the best. You go to the Ken's 5 YouTube page and you'll see all these videos are saved on there. The one I can't post because of copyright laws is our Reading Day Wednesday. So we read a Dr. Seuss book. We can only do that live when we do it with the permission of publishers, but we can't post it. So everything else is posted, including this current one will be on there. Lexi and Lily are in Leon Springs. I love saying it. Lexi and Lily in Leon Springs. That's a good tongue twister. Glad you're here, guys. It's official. There it is. Thanks, Brian. See, because like I said, Brian's going to be in the room answering great questions, giving us these comments. C2019Y4 is the official name of Comet Atlas. So let's talk a little weather too, Andrew. I know you were covering this morning. We've got some nice cooler weather on the way for the weekend. This is going to feel pretty good.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of a cool down. It's going to bring the possibility for a light shower or two for Saturday morning. But that's about it. And maybe into Saturday afternoon for areas like Hallettsville and closer to the coast. But, I mean, it's going to be cooler. Temperature is going to be 10 degrees cooler than what we have for yesterday and today. It'll be nice.
That will be nice. You know, yesterday in Laredo, 103, Cotulla and Pearsall both hit 100. I mean, it's not the earliest that they've hit 100. We've done it here in San Antonio as early as February. But it's astonishingly early to get this kind of heat. We should be in the mid-70s right now.
Oh, yeah.
Well, so, I want to spend a moment, now that we kind of covered that with the front coming through and a cooler weekend, tell us a little bit about your meteorology journey. How did you first get interested? And I want to inspire those who are interested in science, and I want to tell all of you, you should be. It's a wonderful, wonderful career. Tell us what sparked your interest and how you fulfilled it.
Well, it all started when I was in first grade at Gilchrist Elementary School, and that's in Tallahassee, Florida. So a lot of people know that I've talked about it on TV, that I grew up in Mississippi. But for part of my life, I was in Tallahassee, and we had a meteorologist come speak to our classroom, and I was just fascinated by it, and it just stuck. I stayed interested in weather throughout my life. Growing up in parts of my life in Florida, I got really interested in tropical meteorology. And then growing up in Mississippi, no shortage of weather events. We had tornadoes often, very often. I mean, they call it Sea Alley in that area. And all the time, you had severe thunderstorms and tornadoes. Hurricane Katrina came through in 2005 and impacted the entire state of Mississippi. And just all those constant weather events that were always happening and all the heavy rain that we always seem to have really kept my interest up. And then I ended up going to Mississippi State University, really commonplace for people to get their degree in meteorology. We have multiple people on our team who have gone to Mississippi State, and
present company included. Yeah. It's a great school. They've got it set up for the working professional. So if it's something you want to do online, if you're a weather enthusiast and say you work at Bank of America, I mean, that's fine. Take an online course with Mississippi State. They do a great job of keeping you accountable. You know, it's because online classes can be tough if you don't have the self-discipline, right?
Right.
I'll just do it all this weekend.
Yeah. And, you know, after going through college, I worked in Jonesboro, Arkansas. I got to experience the kind of weather that I didn't get growing up in central Mississippi. You had more ice and snow in the winter, which we never got a lot of. And I got to experience thunder sleet, and then moved down to the Mississippi Gulf Coast.
What's thunder sleet? Tell us about that.
Well, you end up having, so basically, you know, we get lightning and thunderstorms that form. Whenever you have lightning forming, you have a lot of particles bouncing off of each other, and then you end up getting a lightning bolt. Well, imagine you need a strong updraft for that. We talked about updrafts a little bit yesterday.
Yeah, the anatomy of a thunderstorm, that big inhale.
Yeah, well, typically in winter systems, you don't have a very strong updraft. But sometimes you can get a strong updraft, and that could lead to lightning forming within a winter system. And we had a winter system pass through that had a really strong updraft, and it led to lightning within a winter system. So we had thunder sleet, which doesn't mean that the sleet is causing thunder. It just means that we have lightning within a sleet storm. Just like you would have a rainstorm, we had a sleet storm, I guess you could say.
And that's also when you'll start seeing some interesting colors in that lightning flash, right? The reflection onto the cloud, and you'll get some really cool colors out of that.
Yeah, so the light that we typically see as white light, if if the light is scattered, it may give it a different color, which typically with thundersleep would be more of a purplish color. So kind of cool
So
stuff.
cool. So cool.
And then went down to Biloxi, Mississippi. Got to cover hurricanes and stuff. Got to fly with the hurricane hunters into Hurricane Joaquin.
I'm
And
glad
then
you brought that up because I was going to say, guys, Andrew Wilson's been in the plane. He has been inside the aircraft flying into a hurricane. That's got to be one of the most amazing life experiences ever.
yeah, it's a dream come true for me. I've got a big passion for tropical meteorology. Been studying it for a long time. They even gave me these patches. So this
Nice.
is the patch that they wear on their shoulder, and then they also wear a patch under that to say how many hurricanes they've been in.
Now,
I've
which
been
one
in
is the one you got tattooed? That one, right? That top one you have a
Oh
tattoo?
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
No, but I mean,
But yeah,
describe. I mean, a lot of
it was
people
like a
think,
dream
well,
come true.
surely they don't fly into them; they fly above them, right? No, no, no. You're flying in the hurricane itself and negotiating an aircraft with 100 plus mile per hour winds.
Yeah, you have multiple people on board taking a look at radar, and the radar is your eyesight. You basically that's how the pilots know what's going on, where we're at. They're paying attention to their instruments, but they're guiding themselves through the storm and missing areas of where there could be hail, where there could be water spouts. They're trying to miss that stuff, but they're trying to get an idea of what the wind speeds are. Knowing the current status of a hurricane, what it's doing right now, lets us know what the forecast could be in the future. So what they do is so important. And you have the Air Force hurricane hunters that are out there flying the storms. They fly through the storm real
Yeah,
low through the storm. And then you also have NOAA Corps out there too. Now, Air Force, they're flying a C-130.
that's the
That
big
is the type of
C-130
aircraft.
aircraft. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a C-130J. So it's a specified C-130, I guess, for their flights. And then you have NOAA Corps. There's actually another group out there other than the Air Force flying these hurricanes. They fly P-3s and a G-4. The G-4 is a jet, and it
Yes, much
flies.
smaller.
That one does fly above the storm, but
So it goes
the
above.
P-3s
Yeah.
fly.
And all of
Yeah.
them are dropping drop sounds, as they're calling the instrumentation, to take readings and learn more about every layer as it's dropping through and getting wind speeds, air pressure, and all those kind of key variables to learn what the storm and how it's behaving.
Yeah, I mean it's fascinating. They've got instruments on the wings that are getting wave height, wind speed, temperatures, and then of course the drop sound itself, getting the health of the storm all the way to the surface. It really is an amazing thing. It's phenomenal, and
It is
we've
phenomenal.
got more than just our own stories today. I mean we've got tons of stories to share with y'all of our friends at home.
Yeah, I'm so glad you guys took a part in this. Remember, every Friday is going to be dedicated to you guys. So if you didn't get a picture in or a story in on time, remember you can send it to any of us on the weather team. B. Taylor at kens5.com, A. Wilson at kens5.com. And make sure that, of course, you include your name, your grade, your school, and we can celebrate you guys as well as, show off a little bit of your artwork and what you're learning while you're at home. And so we're going to get started now. We're going to take these up full screen and show you a few of these. Our Cloudy with a Chance of Learning. First up is going to be Britt Klein. And Britt has her tornado plan ready. I talked about this when we did Severe Weather 101, that you've got to have the plan before the severe weather hits. I love the baseball analogy. Like I said, if you're playing third base, know what you're going to do if the ball's hit to you before that pitcher throws the ball. You don't want to be making that decision when the ball's on its way to you. You should already say it out loud. I'm going to throw it to first. Well, here's the plan from Britt Klein for her family. And that's what I'm saying. This is what's wonderful, is that you guys can take the lead on this and write out a weather plan for your families. So number one, where should we go? Well, a place with no windows. I love that because it's so crucial. Remember that in a tornado or even a severe thunderstorm, it's going to be the debris that's flying through the air that does the most damage. And of course, those kind of winds with a tornado or a severe thunderstorm can blow through windows without any kind of warning. Well, there would be warning, but I'm just saying without any problems is the word I was looking for. All right, number two. No, go back to Brits if you don't mind. I want number two on Brit's list. Thank you. What should we bring? Well, we should bring water, food, and stuff we need. I love it. What is the stuff you need? I would definitely have that cell phone. Remember the ABC, always be charging, so you have a fully charged phone for when you do lose power, because in most cases, the severe weather situation takes electricity from you. But if you've got that phone charged, you're going to have the KENS 5 app, and you can, of course, look at the radar. You could be watching Facebook, because in a severe weather situation, we would be on live for sure until that's over. Number three, how long do we stay there? And the answer from Britt Klein, you stay there until the tornado is gone. Britt Klein, 7 years old. Good stuff. All right, moving on. Now, Joshua Klein, 9 years old. And Joshua's tornado plan includes first, when you get the warning, get everything inside. Next, make sure you get everything inside. Find a safe place with no windows. And if you live in a two-story house, stay downstairs. After that, stay downstairs until the warning is over. Love it. Get out of your safe place. Finally, check if there are more warnings, and then you know you're safe. Good stuff, Joshua. Remember, multi-level dwellings be on the lowest floor. You know, where I grew up in New Jersey, we had basements, and they're literally underground. There are some Texas basements, but they're not underground. But if there are a Texas basement, usually doesn't have any windows. That's a great, safe place. Remember, the most important, you're surrounded by interior walls. Now, what are we protecting ourselves from? Something Liliana drew, 7 years old. Look at this tornado. And what Liliana does a great job of here is showing us all the debris that could be flying around the tornado. So what I love about this picture is it's not just the tornado we're worried about. Remember, the most damage is going to be spread out because of the fact that that tornado picked things up and sent them flying. And when I say some things, I mean it could be anything. When the wind speed and the vortex of a tornado is lifting things off the surface and it gets spun up at 200 miles an hour plus, it can fly in any direction, and at that kind of speed can do some serious damage. So that's a very important picture to keep in mind. Liliana illustrating that so well. All kinds of stuff for flying in the air there, right? Oh, we're heading out to Southwest Louisiana. This is my nephew. This is Wyatt Abear. Wyatt's got the hurricane, the lightning, and the tornado. Now, what I love, they're all multicolored, so you can really see them well. Good stuff, Wyatt. Look at the hurricane. I love that you're spelling that correctly. Lightning and tornado also all spelled correctly. And you can also see the lightning is done really well. We've got our cumulonimbus cloud. The thunderstorm is a mature one with good structure. Got the lightning coming out, the rain is falling, and then the tornado as well. Now, Wyatt's got an older sister. Her name's Braylon. Braylon Abear. Remember, that's not Hebert. These are some Cajuns right here. These guys know about boudin and crawfish. Sorry. All right, I got a little Cajun in me there. See, I went to college. You know Cajun?
Yeah, I know Cajun. Now, when you said Abear, I was like, man, in my head, after living in South Mississippi and growing up in Mississippi as a whole, I was like, that's Abear. And I was like, he said it just the way it's supposed to be said. So, yeah, you get it, man.
Oh, yeah. You know, I met the Thibodeaux and the Boudreaux and all kinds of Cajuns, man. South Louisiana is the coolest culture. I loved it. And that's where I moved from New Jersey. I went into Southwest Louisiana. So you talk about a change. But it was such a welcome change. I mean, there's such a great loving culture. I love it. And the food's off the hook. All right. So on the left, Braylon's got our hurricane. She's got the lightning. And she writes our most important phrase: when thunder roars, get indoors. So important that you know your plan, your action plan. When you hear thunder, take action immediately and get inside. And that's inside a car, inside a house, a building, anywhere inside, you are definitely going to be safe. And then she even has the Fujita scale, and it's the enhanced Fujita scale. Braylon, I'm very impressed. EF0 to EF5. So that's the range. And EF0 is still classified as a tornado. That's going to be a small one with winds somewhere around 70 to maybe 100 miles per hour tops. I forget the exact range, but the enhanced word was added to it several years ago to also include the damage as a result of the tornado. And remember, Fujita is named for Ted Fujita, who is a forefather in the research of tornadoes. And then, most important, on the right side, you see that Braylon included a watch, be prepared, and a warning, take action. And this is what I love. She actually remembered that I said, on average, a warning is going to be about an hour to an hour and a half. And that's what it says under take action. Because typically the watch, remember, is going to be for a longer stretch of time and for a larger area. It's going to be a region. While the warning is going to be issued with a polygon and typically be inside of about we hope it's going to be within 2 hours. I've seen warnings for 2 hours and maybe even 2.5. That's an extreme situation. But in most cases, it's an hour to an hour and a half. Great stuff. And Braylon keeps moving. We've got another one from Braylon. This is the atmosphere topic. We were on Monday, and that was awesome. You can see that the layers include the troposphere. That's where we are from the surface, about 30 miles up. And that's what we study as meteorologists. What happens when the sun heats the troposphere? And do we remember the number one gas in our troposphere? What is the number one gas we're breathing? Anyone? Bueller? Tell him, Andrew.
It's nitrogen.
78% of the air we breathe is nitrogen. Common misconception or common mistake is when people say oxygen. I mean, that makes sense, but that's 22% of our atmosphere. And then argon is next up at 2%, and then a ton of others at minuscule amounts. So beyond the troposphere, we get into the stratosphere, we go to the mesosphere, the thermosphere. Remember the thermosphere? That's where the International Space Station lives. It's where our satellites are orbiting the Earth. We have some 2,200 man-made satellites in the thermosphere orbiting the Earth, and 2 of them are watching the U.S. Those are the GOES satellites, the geostationary, that are taking pictures. One's for the East Coast, one's for the West Coast, and they overlap in Kansas. In the central U.S., but Kansas, Oklahoma, that's where the overlap occurs. So then you have the exosphere, the outermost layer of our atmosphere, and the coolest thing about the exosphere, it's as thick as the planet Earth itself. I mean, it's a tremendous amount of thickness, some 6,000 miles thick. All right, next up, a beautiful picture. Thank you, Braylon. Thank you, Wyatt. Love you guys, and I'm so glad you're watching from Southwest Louisiana. Well, it wasn't cloudy with a chance of learning for Lily. It looks sunny with a 100% chance of learning. She's looking up, and of course, eyes are protected. Always wear your sunglasses. Those are sunscreen for the eyes. Thank you so much, Lily. Lily wanted to know, she actually had a question with this picture. Why were we in such a cloud? It was this day that they took the picture. We didn't have a cloud in the sky. How can that happen? Well, a lot of times, Lily, that's high pressure. So when high pressure, come on back here to the board and I'll show you what's happening. With high pressure, we have a sinking air motion in the atmosphere. So what'll happen is, like, let's say this is the surface right here, okay? And here's Lily, right? Okay, so what's happening is high pressure over top of us. And by the way, this is the topic for Monday. So this is kind of a sneak peek. We got pressure, Monday pressures. We're going to go high versus lows. And it's real interesting. But here's just a little tidbit. High pressure is a sinking air motion. So all the air in this column, let's just always pretend that this is a column of air, right? So that high is pressing down upon the Earth's surface. So a couple things happen. Number one, the heat occurs because when you're pressing down on air, the physics of the atmosphere tells us that it'll warm that area. But then also, you don't have as much lift. You cannot get the water cycle going as efficiently. You can't evaporate as much up because everything's going from top to bottom. So you're typically getting heavier air with high pressure, the barometer's going up, and you're getting cloud-free skies. Good stuff, Lily. Keep it coming. All right, next up, we've got another picture online. It's Kara. Kiara is 9 years old, and I love this picture of what I just talked about, the water cycle. It all begins with evaporation from our rivers, our lakes, our oceans. That water turns into a gas. I love the little squiggly lines because that's when water is invisible. Remember that water can be in 3 states: Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas. No, okay. Liquid, gas, solid. It's the only substance that does it. It's the most abundant resource. It's about 70% of your body. It's about 70+% of the planet. Water's amazing. So anyway, when it's going, but it's also the most destructive force on the planet. Like think about tsunamis and flooding and all of the world events, right? Water is an amazing substance. So here we go. With evaporation, we have the water going up as the gas. Temperatures are what's controlling that air motion and controlling the physics of this. It's rising because it's warmer than the air around it. Eventually, those temperatures are going to equalize and we move into condensation. We're making the clouds. I love the mountains and gives us a great illustration, Kira, of where this is occurring. Now, sometimes it happens at the surface. We call that fog, right? It's an occasional thing. But almost every day, without high pressure, we're going to see this process unfold and you'll start seeing those clouds form, and that's the condensation part of this. You get back to what's called that condensation nuclei, and you get all those little water droplets back to water, from gas to water. Then the third leg, precipitation. Okay, and when precipitation occurs, that's of course the rain, the sleet, the snow. It's also fog. Again, I always consider fog a form of precipitation. Technically it is. And then the fourth, collection, or we call sometimes runoff, is when that water is going back to its source. It wants to get back to the oceans, lakes, rivers and tributaries are a good path for that water to get back into where it can begin again. Remember the cycle, it keeps going around. Kira, that's so awesome. Great stuff, 9 years old. Area, I'm so glad we're seeing you with the picture too. Make sure to include yourselves, right? And stay tuned too, you should be doing some fam cam. We've got the Ken's 5 fam cam up and going. We want you to send your videos to us here at Ken's 5. Aria's got a wonderful picture here of different cloud types and colors. I just love it. I mean, this is great stuff from the kiddos. And keep in mind, if you didn't see your picture or your story, it doesn't mean we didn't get it. We're just trying to get these produced. Again, we're doing this all by remote. I have to right now give a big toast to our graphics team. Derek Barrios, Mario Ruiz, our Ken's 5 graphic gurus are working from home and knocking it out of the park, doing some wonderful, wonderful full screen images. They did the open for us on our weather classroom because this is something brand new. So we're adding this onto already a full plate of work for those guys. Because think about it, when we're gathering the news now, we're having special restrictions. Our reporters and photographers cannot go inside buildings. Every interview they conduct has to be outside. And so they're so restricted that what happens with that, in telling a visual story, you have to rely a lot on full screens. You have to rely a lot on building those kind of graphics. So that kind of work on Mario and Derek both. I mean, those guys are really churning it out. So God bless you both. Thanks so much for the hard work you're doing. It looks fantastic. Didn't that look great? I just love that stuff. Hey, speaking of Cloudy with a Chance of Learning, great segue, Andrew Wilson. Andrew, tell us about next week's schedule. Andrew Wilson joining us live from home, by the way.
Yeah, and you know we've got a lot of fun stuff. We're not just doing this week. We're doing this for weeks because we are going to be continuing the learning right here at Ken's 5. So here's what we got on tap for next week. Again, this is every day at 1 p.m. So make sure the kids can watch. It's a way that we can continue to teach and keep everybody informed, of course, as well. So on Monday, here's our topics. We're going to talk about pressures, the highs versus the lows. So we're going to talk about high pressure and what it does, and then low pressure and what kind of weather both of those cause and what they even are. We're going to get all into that.
One thing that's really cool, before you go to Tuesday, I wanted to tease everybody a little bit because one of the most fascinating things to me about high pressure and low pressure are the analogies with the human body. Your body works the same way in several ways the planet does with highs and lows. It's a really cool explanation that we'll bring to you on Monday at 1 o'clock. Okay.
Oh, yeah. And then we've got on Tuesday, the 4 seasons, how they happen, and why. So why, for some reason, we get so cold in the winter and why we get so warm in the summer and why we even have seasons in the first place and how you identify them. We're going to get into all that. It'll be a lot of fun. And then Wednesday, Solar 101. How does solar energy work? You know,
And
we
you're
get a
not
lot of
fooling
sunshine
around here, right? You're not trying to fool us here, are you?
I'm not.
Sorry.
We get a lot of sunshine here in Texas.
It's April
And,
Fool's, you know.
Yeah. April Fool's Day. The upper level cap will be covered on Thursday. What is it? What are we talking about? We're not talking about a bottle cap, but it can kind of work in a similar way.
Absolutely.
So we're going to get into that. And then we're going to get into Fun Time Friday again next Friday. So again, if you didn't see your photo or any of the drawings that you made today, we're going to have Fun Time Friday with some more stories and pictures next week.
Yeah, when I say stories, I want to hear your experiences with weather. I know a lot of you have seen severe weather. You've been in a snowstorm or any kind of occurrence where you've experienced weather, the most common denominator of mankind. Tell us about it. Write us out a great story and we'll share it here and take the time to read it. I love these topics. On Thursday, the upper level cap is a big part of our atmosphere, controls a lot of our weather. So that's always great information, and it's not just students, but also weather enthusiasts. And then Solar 101, you see so many more solar panels going up on homes. How does that work? How does solar energy work? And we're harnessing energy from the sun. It makes a lot of sense. We get a lot of sunshine here in South Texas, so why not try to harness that? And it's good, clean energy. So we're going to talk about Solar 101. Some great stuff coming next week, Andrew. I'm so glad we're doing this. This has been a great journey for us, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And it's fun to get to kind of talk more about the processes of the atmosphere and teach everybody about it. Because Megan and I, we typically do these weather minds. And it's fun to branch out and be able to do them here while we're going through this weird time in our lives. So
exactly. And we make new friends along the way. We give this an interactive component, which, as you mentioned, the Weather Minds, we're going to beautifully produce pieces that explain things really well. But it's just, a 1 to 1.5 minute long story where now you can ask, well, what does that mean? Or how does that work? And we can get more customized here. And which brings me to this, make sure to send in your topic ideas by email here on our Facebook while we're here live. Hey, I'd love to hear more about this, or what about that? And we will include it because, as Andrew mentioned, I think we're going to be doing this for several weeks. We know that all the school districts are distance learning through April 24th right now. As soon as that's extended, which I think it might be, who knows, but we will definitely stay with you through April 24th too. As long as there's distance learning, there's cloudy with a chance of learning. Isn't that beautiful?
Yep, and we're going to be coming up with all sorts of different topics, and we want to know what y'all want to hear about. We want to kind of tailor to what you want to hear. So we're going to have topics, of course. But,
well put.
But we're going to
tailor it. All right. Well, Andrew Wilson, thanks so much for your hard work, doing it all by remote and doing a phenomenal job. This is a top shelf graphic and computer whiz you're looking at, folks. So thanks for all you do for the Ken's 5 team, bro. You make us better. Really appreciate it.
No problem. And y'all don't forget, we're going to be back on Monday. Tune in at 1 p.m.
All right. Take care, guys. Have a great weekend. And I'll see you on First at 4, 5, 6, and 10.